Hi, I'm David with EV World News. We talk about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. It's a Wednesday, and I'm back with our resident engineer, Mike Herzog. How's it going today, Mike?
We're back, David. We were on hiatus last Wednesday, but it's 2 weeks later, and we're jam packed with EV updates and new news.
Yeah, I was out politicking last week. This is we're and hopefully we don't have any more technical difficulties today. So, anyways, I'm going to start out talking about Nissan. So this is kind of a funny one. Nissan's going to cut their production of the Leaf in half because they have a battery shortage.
Oh, wow.
That was not something I would have seen coming. Yeah. Its new Leaf, they're going to have to cut its expectation or its production plan by more than half owing to delays in battery procurement. A Nissan affiliate has caused the revision, lower than expected battery yields. I don't know if it gets into specifics, calling out who it is, but so this is mostly going to affect production in Japan. But the new Leaf is being made in Japan for the U.S. and Japanese markets. Of course, they got this new Leaf with the 300-mile range, and that's just, I guess it just didn't see supply chain issues as a big issue in that whole thing.
And I'd like to think that came up, when they were, well, what are our projections? And like, we're good, right? Okay. Turns out we can't get the batteries. I don't know. I always have a soft spot for the Leaf. Felt it got done dirty there for a couple of years when everybody else started to pop up. So I was happy when it came back, and now to hear you say that, like, well, we got to cut it again. I thought you were going to go with like Nissan's cutting the Leaf again. Like,
yeah. So I studied economics in college. Okay. And a lot of your stuff in economics, stuff like that, they were always teaching long time ago when I was in college about how the Japanese had perfected this just-in-time inventory system. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they were really good about having that happen. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. If they got one hitch in the chain and it's the battery supplier, can't get them there just in time, well, all of a sudden they're kind of screwed. But on the flip side, then you don't have all this inventory just sitting there that's not being used, right? And that's always been their strategy versus having a year's worth of inventory, then you don't use it all, and then it just goes to waste, right?
It sits on your books, it becomes outdated. Yeah, I mean, that was like Toyota. I mean, that was the strength. I mean, Kaizen, like that is like their thing. I mean, efficiency and dropping it down and the just in time and reducing every single overhead cost you possibly can. And I mean, so that's interesting now that they're kind of behind the eight ball. Efficiency.
I just thought that was kind of an interesting article and kind of surprising to see that that's going on. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Lucid. So the Lucid Air is the vehicle that they came out with first. And I've said a lot, and I think they realized that was probably a mistake. They were trying to make a nicer. They were trying to show that, hey, the Model S by Tesla is nice, but we can make a better, EV, more luxurious. And I think they hit too niche of a market. There's just too many great choices in that certain span. But the Lucid has lowered the Air lease price. And let me see. It's currently offering a lease starting at just $509 a month. Now, these are not cheap cars. These are $80,000+ automobiles. And let's see. And that's a 36-month lease with $1,889 due at signing. An effective monthly cost of $561. That's pretty cheap.
That's not bad for how nice of an automobile that is.
So in the United States, the average car buyer or a car driver has expenses for their car amounting to about $1,050 per month. Okay. This is car payment, maintenance, gas, insurance. Okay. So your four big costs. But when you're dealing with a lease, and in that time frame, you're not going to have any maintenance cost on it. You might put some wiper fluid or something like that in it. It's not like you do oil changes on an EV. Okay. So you're not going to suffer from depreciation on this. You know, that, you know, $500 something a month, you
That's
know.
not bad.
No, so even if you 561, I mean, your insurance is probably high on that expensive of a car. Say it's $200. You're
I'm with you on Lucid though. You know, kind of from the start of it. It's when you get into that really luxury, it's about as much as the emblem on the front of it as it is the actual performance and comfort of the car. And there people can make a really, really nice car, but it's, boy, if you're spending that much money, we kind of want people to know what it is. You know?
well,
And there's some like, ooh, what's that? That's a sharp looking car. But it's some of, I mean, they look pretty good. They look sharp driving down the road. Somebody parks one actually not far from where I work, so I get to see it all the time.
I had somebody that commented to me. We were going to a tennis tournament. He goes, "Hey, I saw Lucid for the first time ever in Omaha." It's like, oh, there's a couple of them around, but and then we went to a tennis club in Kansas, and this is in like Topeka, where we're not. This isn't like Kansas City or something like that. And there was a Lucid in the parking lot when we pulled in. Yeah, but anyways, I'm just saying, if you compared this though to, and you figure your energy cost of driving that Lucid's probably going to be like $30 a month.
Nothing.
I don't say negligible,
but if you're leasing a Lucid, you're probably not worried about $30 a month.
Right, I get that, but I'm just saying, if the average cost of driving a car in the United States is about $1,050, when you start getting in and you factor insurance, all that, you're only at $800 on this.
Yeah, you're well below the average.
Yeah, so you're way below average. I mean, you could be driving, you know, a $50,000 car and spending the $1,050, and you could be driving an $80,000 car here. I'm not trying to push Lucid on anybody. In fact, I think that it's great they've come up with the Gravity SUV. People are starting to buy those. I think it's going to end up being a lot like Tesla did with the Model S. Did well when it first came out, but it never was like how the Model 3 was when the Model 3 came out. Model 3 came out, and then the Model Y came out. They both sold like gangbusters. And the original cars, the Model S and the Model X, they each make up about 5% of Tesla's sales. They're just not a big part of it. And I see this is where Lucid's probably going to end up, is this is going to continue to be a car that they sell less than 10,000 of these a year. Okay,
it's small, and I get it with the Model S and Model X, because when you're building the industry, you're the leader out there. You have to, you know, aside from just being electric, you have to elevate your product a little bit. So it's like the people we want to get, not everybody's going to own one of these. Not everybody's going to have it, but we want it to look sharp. We want it to perform well. We want people who are influential, whatever that word means to you, and in those spaces. Like, yeah, I got a Tesla. I drive this, and it's a very, very nice automobile. But now that the market is so mature, it's just kind of entering into that space on the back end. It's a little just a different model. You know, and we still see it with the Tesla, like you're saying. Their sales numbers are just so pedestrian. I mean, they're we sell them, they're fine, it's out there, but it's not driving the ship.
Lucid's sales are terrible. Okay, we'll just call it what it is. Okay, but you know, Tesla is the first American car manufacturer that's done well in 100 years in the United States. You know, and been able to survive, right? And Tesla had the benefit of they brought the Model S out in 2012. Well, in 2012, we had almost historically low interest rates, right? So it made the car way more affordable for an expensive car. They were catering to a higher level of people because it was a nice car. It wasn't just, and then it became cool and unique to own and drive a Tesla, right? Well, then when the Model 3 came out, because they made it so cool to own a Tesla, and Tesla had actually made owning an electric car kind of like a status symbol, then the Model 3 took off like gangbusters, and interest rates were still low, and they were still low when the Y came out. Okay, and they've only gone up since. So, you know, some of this of what Lucid's doing, like 10 years behind the curve, and they're in kind of a wrong economic cycle. And so they've been hurt by that. And, you know, we know that with what the Saudis are doing with them, it's just going to make that be better and better. But it's
not, I mean, I don't think they're going anywhere. With where they're at, because of who their primary investors are. But it's, yeah, I'm with you. It's one of those. It's just kind of what's the next play for Lucid? Like this, okay, we're more affordable. We're going to lease. We're going to try to get these out there and more play, or is it, no, we're going to double down and make the nicest dang electric vehicle that anybody's ever seen? Or like,
Yeah.
how do you? It's almost like the status. How do you? We talk about it. Oh yeah, Lucid. That's a really nice car. But to the person on the street, they see a Lucid. Like,
What is that?
What is that? What is that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's really nice. Oh, I guess they told me
Who
it was
makes that?
nice. Cool. Yeah. But yeah, it's I don't know. Like I said, it's a nice car and it's sharp, and I hope it does well. I hope all the EVs do well, and continue to expand. But yeah, it would be worth a look, for that price, especially leasing an EV, for that audience that's in. I don't want to buy an electric car yet. Like, I don't know, but we'll lease it. Try it for a couple of years, see if you like it, and go from there.
All right. Well, somehow we have a whole bunch of articles on plug-in hybrids today. So we're going to go ahead and get to that. So Volvo has a new XC70, which has over 200 kilometers of battery range. That's about 125, 130 miles. Volvo's subsidiary Geely, which is a Chinese company, has unveiled its latest plug-in hybrid SUV, the XC70. It offers an electric range of 124 miles, and they began pre-orders in China with plans for European launch coming soon. The article doesn't even say what the gas range is on it, but it's just you're starting to see some plug-in hybrids, and then we're going to share a couple of others that actually have, they're no longer just the 37-mile commuter. These are essentially an EV that's a little bit more than just, with 124-mile range, you can go somewhere on that, a little more substantial, and then you can either choose to go to a charger or you can go to a gas station. Now,
at that range, you don't have to charge it every day. The 20, 30, 40 miles, you probably should be charging that thing every night and go through. But at this, one of those advantages of EVs, like you can let that ride for a couple of days. I mean, that is not it. I darn well better plug this in tomorrow or tonight before I go to bed. Otherwise, there's going to be no electric juice left.
Well, I can't imagine anybody with a plug-in hybrid getting level 2 charging. I picture them all being level 1 charging. Okay, because you can add about 4 miles of range every hour, and over the course of the night, the car sits there. You can add 40, 50 miles of range depending on how long your car sits. And so, and as usual, being Volvo, it's a classy looking car, right?
Oh, it looks nice. I'm sure it's safe. I'm sure it's got nice lines inside and everything. Yeah,
don't just assume it's safe because it's a Volvo, Mike.
I still have those biases. It's Volvo, whatever it sticks out in my head.
They're always safe.
I knew somebody who had nothing but trouble with it. It's safe, but dang, that thing breaks down a lot. So maybe that's just my personal bias.
I had heard somebody one time trying to push Mercedes, and their whole thing was, you buy it because it's safe. And it's like, I always thought you bought it because of the status.
You bought it because of that little symbol on the front.
Yeah.
Because that's a nice car. Yeah.
Right. And, but anyways, so that's pretty impressive. But can we do better than 124 miles? Okay. So now we're going to change to a Chinese manufacturer. Now, Geely and Volvo basically are Chinese manufacturers. Okay. But this is XPeng. XPeng is making it's called the Range Extender X9, has a 63.3 kilowatt hour battery pack. That's larger than what a lot of current EVs have.
Yeah, non-hybrid, just a plain old EV.
Yeah, so it has a 1.5 liter turbo engine to pair with the electric motor. And its electric only range is 280 miles.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's almost a 300-mile SUV. And when you couple it with gasoline, it goes 994 miles on one
On
fill up.
one, so like we get up in the morning, it's fully charged. I got a full tank of gas. I can go 900 plus miles before I need to put any fuel in.
Yeah, because when you switch to gas as you're going, it's
recharging.
It's recharging
you
the
still have
battery.
regenerative braking. The engine's still doing all of that. How much does that thing weigh? I mean, if you're carrying that big of a gas tank on it and that much battery.
Mike, I'm glad you asked. It weighs 6,062 pounds.
6,600.
6,062.
But you said it's not a car. It's more SUV minivan style. So it's at least got. It's not like a little Nissan Leaf that weighs 6,000 pounds. Hopefully.
Yeah, this is the paint job we all want right here. Why can't we buy it with those wheel covers?
It's class. Yeah, it's really.
You know, it's funny when they all have their experimental cars. They all have them
the weird,
sort of camouflage, so it's hard to get an exact look at what the product is going to look like. Yeah, they break up the profile.
I don't know.
I don't know if you noticed.
It's just there was that series of minivans that came out in like the mid to late 90s that I thought looked like Easter eggs. Just the way they were shaped, and most of them came in a teal color. God, I think it was a Dodge. Somebody they just look, and that's giving me vibes of that. Of the late 90s Easter eggs.
Let's say I've seen some pictures recently of Chinese tanks that are camouflaged and like Minecraft looking.
Like really pixelated.
Yeah, like they're really pixelated. Yeah. But 6,000 pounds. But that's impressive. 280 miles of electric range and 994 with fuel in it. This is for people that never need to go to the bathroom. You're completely dehydrated and you can just drive forever.
They have the most well-behaved family in the world. You know, all of it. They're just let's just sit down and drive. Now add autonomous mode to that. You really got something.
Oh yes, you can just take a nap.
Yeah.
They've tested it in some of the country's harshest conditions, sandy deserts where most owners are unlikely to ever venture. The vehicle's been tested in 19 countries and 330 cities around the world, ensuring that it's ready for prime time. I don't know why they tested it in 330 cities. I don't know if I saw the Xpeng here in Omaha. You'd think they would have had one here. Oh, what's funny is they actually give us a picture gallery of this thing, and it's just kind of funny. And they're all with the
camouflage.
Yeah, I mean, it's just here's one where it's tearing through the desert. Oh, another one in the desert. I guess they're doing like a road rally. I guess if you get 1,000 miles of range, you could do a road rally, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe the word, it looks very utilitarian and like very functional. It looks like a very functional automobile.
I mean, to me, it looks more like
straight lines where it needs it. It's got curved lines where it's better. It just goes.
All right. Well, it's not often we talk about a plug-in hybrid or two plug-in hybrids, but yet today we have three. All right. Ooh. So Ram cancels its plans for an all-electric pickup truck. They were going to make an all-electric Ram. They're going to stick to the plug-in hybrid or the extended range electric truck, they call it.
Well, they have a little generator on board, right? Is that am I thinking?
Well, no, so they have a gas generator. So there's not actually a gas engine. They have a gas generator paired with an electric motor.
Pairs to the electric motor.
Yes, and that one has a 150-mile range on the all battery, and then it has it goes out. It says 690 miles with combined.
With all full gas tank, full electric charge.
Yeah, but that once again, that is burning a generator as opposed to a regular combustion engine
that's driving a transmission. It's creating electricity to power the electric motors.
And they're going to change the name. Originally, it was going to be called the Ram Charger.
I remember
changing it to the Ram 1500 REV. But I don't know. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
I mean, if they're looking at the market and see where they're going, because it's I wish I had numbers on it and how it's doing, but just anecdotally, like seems like the F-150 Lightning's doing great. I see quite a few of them, at least a lot of
There's a lot of
new.
them around Omaha, that's for sure.
Yeah, where we're at, like a lot of new ones, sticker right on it. So they're still selling, they're still coming out. So it seems pretty popular. But that also has been a vehicle, the F-150, that's been every third car you see, is one of those
Right. Yeah.
around here. So they've got their market figured out.
Yeah. All right. So the Department of Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, says that the United States is going to have at least one functioning small nuclear reactor up and running by July 4th. Now, you and I were on that conference.
We were on the call, yeah.
Yeah, with them. And
I think
really
they had like about 15 bid responders, didn't they?
They did.
Quite a few of them. And a few of them, they actually said, okay, you guys, we think you can do it. Like 3 or 4 of them were pretty legit.
Yeah. The challenge is getting it built and in play. But it looks like their theories are NuScale, Oklo, a couple of others may get them in there. We've also had some news recently. Oklo got like 1.7 is putting 1.7 billion into a fuel recycling facility in Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Okay.
So there's a lot of stuff going on at that Oak Ridge. There's several companies that are doing things, reopening nuclear businesses at the Oak Ridge facility where, we built the first atomic bombs and stuff like that. It all happened there in Tennessee.
Well, it's interesting. Well, I kind of want to see where that goes, because part of we were on that call and what they went through is like, we don't want this to be under the guidance of the national labs. Like, we want you to do this. Like, we will lease you land there because it addresses a lot of security concerns, a lot of that. We have the space, that's great, but like we want private business to go out and develop this, not our national labs. So if they're still under the same umbrella and building out there, I'd be curious if Oak Ridge has the scientists out there have their tentacles in it too, or if they really are trying to go just private on it.
All right, so I got a funny one that Bill included. Where did Elon Musk's $1 billion of cash come to buy back $1 billion of stock? And the people acting like this is like some kind of scandal or something, but he said it came from personal funds. Now he's got a trust of some sort that he bought it from, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But they were saying that since most of his ownership has always been in Tesla and Starlink, so a lot of his worth is determined by how do you value what's his interplanetary company? SpaceX. Yeah, is how do you value SpaceX, right? It's worth something, right? I mean, a lot of people say his value in that is a couple $100 billion. A lot of it depends on how much you value that particular company. Tesla's a little easier because you have the market value of the stock. Twitter is kind of a tough one because you don't really know because he owns it entirely. You don't know what the numbers are for it, things like that. But it could have been, he could have gotten it from margin loans on his shares. It could have been derivative instruments.
Or God, honestly, if you're the richest man in the world, I hope he's got a room full of stacks of $100 bills, or big bags of gold coins with a dollar sign on it, or emeralds, or whatever his family business. Yeah, I hope you got $1 billion squirreled away if you're the richest man in the world.
Yeah, like people acted like it's some kind of weird thing, but it's like it sure gave people a lot of
dogs. You're still on mute there if you want to come off. Maybe.
There. I don't even know how I did that. That was kind of weird. Yeah, but like Tesla stock, it's like $419. It's gone up in the past year. Tesla stock's up 84%. It took some beatings for a little while. It was down to 221, so it's come. Was that?
Well, yeah, that was a Doge, like in February, March timeframe.
Yeah, but you look at it, it's come up $200
since then.
Since then. Yeah. It's just kind of nuts, but it's good. By him doing this, it gives people confidence that Musk is back,
like this
leading the ship again.
He is not. Yeah, he is fully invested. This is what they're doing. Yeah. That's good. Yep.
No, it's all
right. It's the richest. Well, actually, he's not the richest person in the world anymore.
No, he lost that title for about 8 hours.
Yeah. It was just 8 hours.
Yeah.
And that's what you were saying. It's just which stock happened to go up right at that moment in time, and
Well, this was kind of interesting because one place said that Larry Ellison became the richest for a little bit, but that source valued SpaceX lower than other other people who were saying what Musk was worth. But I was explaining this yesterday with Bill. So Larry Ellison, who owns Oracle or is the founder of Oracle, puts money into OpenAI. OpenAI then takes that money and says, we're going to buy from Oracle. We're going to buy data center use.
Yeah, what we need.
And then that raises the value of Oracle. And Larry Ellison then puts more money into OpenAI, and they do it again. And they keep doing this over and over again. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It is just really interesting to see that as he moves 100 million, or he'll move, I don't know, he'll move $1 billion over to OpenAI of his own money, kind of like what Musk just did. But then his personal net worth will shoot up $50 billion. And so it's, but it was a commitment to buy like $200 billion worth of data center usage over the next 5-10 years, something like that. And so it really drove up the price.
Boy, it's something to watch, and you're more heavily obviously invested in investments than I am, and pay attention to that stuff. But God, there's a lot of things leveraged on data center growth.
Oh, absolutely.
Forward, and just investments that are being made, and it looks like there's a path forward. This is going to continue. We need to see this. This looks like the future, but there's something out there where if this goes belly up, and I don't know what that use case is, where it's just AI's reached its peak. Like we can't get better. We don't need to expand. This is where we're at. But a lot of people I talk to, it's data centers. We have to invest. It's continual growth cycle. It's like,
there's so much money being thrown at the data center space.
Yeah.
When I was at that political event last week, they all want to talk about how bad Virginia needs energy, and that they're currently hosting 15% of the world's data centers in Virginia.
I believe it. It is. In some of those markets where it's at, I've helped with integration and hyperscale data centers and in that space, and nobody has energy. Nobody has it. And it's the biggest companies in the world are there scrounging up pennies and kilowatts and everything. And that's as good as they can do.
Yeah. And how do you provide it? Well,
hopefully SMR, but that's.
I was doing some research on what keeps happening with solar. We've had 100 grid scale solar companies go bankrupt in the last few years simply because of going through bureaucratic red tape. They're simply not paying the right politicians and getting them, I don't know if it's corruption or what, but all these solar projects go bankrupt, not because the idea is poor, it's because they can't get connected to the grid and start getting revenue in.
Yeah, and there's gaps and projects get extended, and there was a glut of I'd say 3, 4, 5 years ago that were coming in at a price point that was like a little bit higher than the market, so they didn't get as much attention as they probably should have. And now the cost of energy that people could have locked those prices in and brought on grid would have been, you'd be rolling around dollar bills. I mean, that's
right.
It would have been a pretty good deal, but it's one of those weird timing things where, hey, we've got enough, we can do this, we can buy off the market. Wind is still out there, natural gas is coming back online, and it's been tough in there. Something we see a lot here is zoning regulations in the Midwest, where a lot of these projects have been like ready to break ground, and then the county or whatever the local jurisdiction is will put in really, really harsh zoning regulations because of community pushback, and we don't want solar. You know, you're taking agriculture land, you're doing all these traditional uses, and it'll be like you can't put a commercial solar farm within 2,000 feet of a property line, or within 2,000 feet of a road, or within 2,000 feet of a river, or within and it's just so like I can put it on my roof, and that's about it, because it just kills it where you would put these things or want to put these things.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to have a short show today. My last article is about Ford. So Ford is cutting 1,000 jobs at its German electric car plant amid weak EV demand for Ford in Europe. Ford makes the Explorer and the Capri over there. And here is, the electric Explorer that they make in Europe. It looks really awesome.
Looks like the Volvo.
It does look a lot like a Volvo.
That look.
Yeah. Why we don't have electric Explorers here in the United States is beyond me. I would, it's always been one of their best-selling vehicles in the United States. You'd think that people would just eat that sucker up, but no, we can't get that here in the U.S. Yeah, you know what, Owen? They really do. I mean, some of these politicians act like solar panels are going to start exploding or something. It's like the same crap we hear about EVs, that EVs explode. It's like, I've never heard of an EV exploding. I've heard of them catching on fire before, but that's, it's not as often as it used to be.
I wish, the telling one to me when we first started doing this was Buick. And it's, God, think of it like an iconic American brand, Buick. They sell EVs in China and have for years that aren't available here. And they do well. They do well over there. They do great. Yeah, it's just,
and you can't get those cars here in the U.S. It just seems so hard to fathom. People will say, well, people don't want EVs. It's like, well, there's no selection of EVs. And you either buy Tesla or, you have a limited selection of vehicles that check all the boxes.
Yeah.
Right. And for a lot of people, it was the NACS charging plug. And now that's been resolved for most
starting
of
to get resolved. Yeah.
Anyways, Mike, I want to thank you for coming on today.
Hey, David, I got one last question to ask you.
It's
one of our favorite topics. What happens if a plug-in hybrid starts on fire between the gas and the battery? I mean, do they like put each other out? Who do we blame in that one? The batteries or the gas tank?
Well,
it's more that's hypothetical.
What's interesting is plug-in hybrids or hybrids in general catch fire at 120 times the rate of all electric cars.
Really?
Yeah. So it probably is worse for a little bit. It probably is.
I'm sure it's terrible. Like it's a lot of combustible material.
But it is kind of funny because gas cars
that you were able to pull that stat out of
according to the insurance industry, gas cars catch fire at 60 times the rate of EVs, but hybrids catch fire at twice the rate of gas cars. And I think it's just because you have so many more systems. You have twice as many systems.
Moving
you have twice as many things. I mean, even most of your gas car fires are really electric fires. Yeah. They start out as an electric fire and it sparks the gas in some way, and it goes on like that. Yeah. So anyways, I'm going to cut the show mostly because I'm about to start having technical difficulties that I see coming. So anyways, all right, folks, thanks for watching today. We'll be back next week. There's no Friday show. We've been moving the Thursday show to Friday, but I'm traveling once again this Friday. It's just a really busy season of the year for me for travel, both business and tennis related travel. So this is more tennis tournaments. Anyways, all right, folks, have a great week, and we will be back on Tuesday.